Hi, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf and welcome to my podcast, Cleaning Up the Mental Mess. In today's podcast, I interview Morgan Harper Nichols about her new book, Peace is a Practice, an invitation to breathe deep and find a new rhythm for life. We have a really deep and important discussion about how her recent diagnosis of autism shook her world, but also helped to understand so much more about herself and how she relates to her husband and her child, and how she has had to shift literally from comparing herself to everyone else and being driven by her inner critic to becoming more accepting and kinder to herself and finding peace in this process. We also talk about how she navigates being married and parenting with autism and how her art soothes her and gives her peace. We also discuss how to find a creative outlet to deal with the stress and the chaos in the world and so much more. But before we begin, if you want to listen to my podcast ad-free, then subscribe to my Patreon account. And as always, this podcast is for educational purposes and is not meant as medical advice. If you need medical advice, please contact the appropriate medical professional. And now, on to today's podcast. Before we dive into today's podcast, I want to tell you about an exciting new project, one many of you have been asking for, which is now open for enrollment, my Neurocycle Certified Facilitator Program. This program is a 4-day in-person training with me where you'll learn the fundamentals of my theory and the neurocycle so you can use these strategies with your clients and to elevate your coaching business or private practice. Our first training is August 3rd through 6th and takes place in Dallas, Texas. When you become a certified facilitator, you'll join our exclusive directory, which goes out to hundreds of thousands of people looking for extra help with their mental health. This means that finding clients will become even easier, and you'll become part of our private network of facilitators where you can meet and connect with like-minded individuals, get help, and have access to many great resources. Spots are extremely limited and already filling up. So if you're interested, just go to neurocycleinstitute.com for more details and to register for our first training. And for just a few days, we're offering 25% off. Just use the code INAUG25, that's INAUG 25. The link and details will be in the show notes. Morgan, it's just so wonderful to see you again. We had such a great interview last time. I remember us talking about that movie that we're going to one day sit down and watch, and you and I will. By the time I interview you the next time, we would have watched that movie.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, I would absolutely still love to do that.
Well, welcome back to my podcast and congratulations on your newest book. Can you just hold it up and show everyone your new book? Our family's devoured it and I left it in my house. So the new book, your art on Instagram is incredible. You're a phenomenon, seriously. Just the way you use words and art to help people feel peace is just amazing. So thank you for doing this interview with me.
Well, thank you as well. So grateful for what you share as well. Love the memes. I love that you bring both, like the humor and the education. And I'm like, yeah, that's just like the right mix. I love it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. We try hard. And I've just started doing TikTok, and boy, is that a whole different world. So
I got to go find you on there. Oh yeah, it's a totally different world.
Totally different. I'm trying to learn it and I'm having so much fun doing it, but I'm not very good at it yet. I'll get there. Yeah. I'll get there. I need your peace you'll read your book and have some peace in between doing TikToks. Oh gosh. My goodness. Okay, so I would love to begin with, why did you write this book? And, every author has a deep sense of connection to their book. So what was the reason that you wrote this book?
Yeah. So over the past year, I've just been going through a lot in my life. I had a pretty big moment about a year ago where I received a diagnosis for autism. And it was something that I definitely, it wasn't a surprise, but it was a big moment. It was a big moment of clarity in my life. And with that clarity comes a lot of reflection. And reflection is multifold. There's parts of looking back where it's like, wow, I really struggled back there. I wish I had the support that I needed, or I wish I had the help. And that's what I was looking at my life. But at the same time, I was also able to see that through all of that, I was learning how to breathe deep through every moment. And for me, being autistic, having a lot of sensory issues, that's very literal for me. So one thing I talk about at the very beginning of the book is that this is not just like like a bullet point intellectual list. It's about what it means to find peace in the body. So I talk about how breathing deep is something that I have just been inhaling and exhaling properly, is something that I have been learning to do in my life, and also see how I've been practicing that all along. So yeah, I just wanted to write something to invite other people on this journey of recognizing that, yes, there is a way that we can practice peace in our life. And at the same time, we already have been laying the groundwork in our life to lead up to this moment of continuing to practice peace. So yeah, that's what kind of propelled me to write this book.
Wow. Wow, that's so much to take in, and that's so incredible. And thank you for doing that book in the midst of that. As you say, to get hit with the diagnosis like that can be very frightening, but you are doing an incredible job. I mean, you touch the world with your work, and you're a mom, you're a wife, and you're doing, and that's, let's just talk for a moment about that. Parenting, knowing that you have this diagnosis, has it changed things for you? Do you see things, because you already said that now you understand why certain things were going on in your life prior to this. And so talk about that and how that's impacted your being a wife and a mom.
Yes, I would say it is learning to embrace what makes me different. And it's really changed the way that I compare myself to others, because it's very hard not to look at other people and say, oh, well, here's how they contribute to their families. And she does X, Y, and Z, but I can't do that. And even when I look at my husband, there's certain things that he can do that in the past I've judged myself like, wow, I can't really do that. What does that say about me? For instance, it takes me a long time to say prepare dinner. That's not something that I do on a regular basis. And he is actually better and faster at it than me. And it's really hard to kind of unlearn that messaging of like, this is something that I should be doing. Why can't I do this? Why can't I keep up? And that's just draining. It's so draining to ask yourself those kind of questions, like in all these different areas of your life. So even when it comes to parenting, like at times, like I remember when I first got pregnant, I started joining like all the mom groups on Facebook, and I was like, okay, I gotta stay in the mom groups and stay on top of things, but I actually unfollowed a lot of those groups because I was like, our experiences are so, and I could see how it could be very helpful. And it was very helpful for a season of my life, but it got to a point where for me, it wasn't helpful. And I was proud of myself for recognizing that. I'm like, okay, I got to find a different way to be able to connect with other parents who are kind of in this season, because this particular way isn't helpful for me. I'm not going to be able to keep up with everybody and what everyone's doing in this way. So yeah, lots of adjustments, lots of rethinking and unlearning, ways of kind of being in the world and being okay with what my weaknesses are, but also my strengths. So yeah.
Your mental health is and should be a priority. I learned this from my friend, Dr. Daniel Amen, who is a renowned psychiatrist, neuroscientist, and founder of Amen Clinics. The Amen Clinics are unique because they use a comprehensive and holistic approach, including brain SPECT imaging, to treat mental health issues. I visited an Amen clinic and seen Dr. Amen in action, and I was able to see for myself how brain scans show that many mental health conditions, such as ADD, anxiety, and depression, are often not caused by just one thing. That's why giving everyone the same treatment will never work. So you can get a treatment plan that's targeted to your needs. I love that the doctors at Amen Clinics use natural therapies wherever possible. To find out how you can change your brain and change your life, visit amenclinics.com/Dr. Leaf. If you book, you'll get 10% off an evaluation when you use the promo code Dr. Leaf 10 at checkout. The link and offer details will also be in the show notes. I'm hearing you say something very deep, and that's that you have turned from being maybe very hard on yourself. Mm-hmm. You've gone from being a very strong inner critic to someone who's very curious about why you are and accepting, okay, well, this is all right. I can be like this. Like you maybe didn't give yourself enough grace in the past, as you said, through the comparison and the critique. You've come to this peace now. You know, this really makes a lot of sense why you've written this book, because you've actually refound your peace through understanding this is how you're different and it's okay. Yeah. You know, and it's so interesting what you say about the moms on Facebook. I think even the moms that don't have a diagnosis of autism, just to compare yourself to other moms is like one of the worst things, because you do have these ideal moms and, are they really at the back, curated lives and things like that. It's really, I'm a mother of 4. I tell you, it is so hard, and every child's different, and they're adults now, and you're still learning, and it's so easy to compare yourself to another parent and another mom and think, oh, I don't do that. Yeah, I'm traveling around the world working. I don't, and I'm getting mothers saying things like when my kids were at school, oh, shame. They don't see you very much, do they? And me thinking, oh, I'm such a bad mother. Meanwhile, I'm fulfilled in my career, so my quality time with my kids is so good that I don't have to fit the normal bill. So I'm just translating to my experience, and it sounds to me like that could have been a lot of your experience, that there's this norm, and you didn't fit this norm, and so now you're bad. And that's not the case. We can parent accordingly to what we can do, and be great. When we get into ourselves in that way, we can be a great parent.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Even what you just shared was so helpful for me, because I'm like, wow, you're even further, you're further down the road than I am. And I have one child, and that's something that I'm like, yeah, I need to constantly stay reminding myself of that. And it's something that I can see myself growing. I'm proud of myself, because I even feel like where I was a year from now to where I am today, like my shoulders are a little bit looser. I'm just a little bit like, you know what? This is where we are, and this is what we're doing, and I'm at peace with that.
That is amazing. And I think that is really such a sign of success, because people are always asking, what is success? And, and this may not seem related to this conversation, but I wanted to bring this up because in my books, you're talking about success, because success is having peace with who you are and where you are and where you're at, and recognizing the past's happened. You can't change that, but you can work into the future. That's kind of how I define success. I'd love to know how you see success.
Oh my goodness. I love the way you just said that. That needs to be a print and a poster, like in anybody's house that's trying to do anything. That's so important. It's a constant look at, what does it mean to be fulfilled and at peace in this moment? And I think it can be hard, when we're in times where it seems like everything is changing so fast. So I kind of think it's okay to reevaluate on a regular basis. I have in my, and this is something that brings me a lot of peace. I have in my iPhone, they have like the Notes app that comes with the phone. And there is a way that you can actually pin a note to the top of your notes. And I have a note that's called Focus. And I put a little picture on there to make it pretty. So I actually click on it and I look at that thing once a day. And I'm like, what am I focusing on in this season of my life? And I'll change it. I'll make changes because sometimes like the list starts getting so long. I'm like, I can't focus on all 50 of these things. So some of the stuff's got to go. And it's been such a helpful visualization, because I'm like, I don't think in the past, I realized just how much I take on from the outside world. It's like you see other people being successful in their lives, doing wonderful things that I could be a part of, that I could spend time doing. It's like, you can't do all of it. Like, you don't need all of that stuff to feel fulfilled and at peace in life. So yeah, that's something that I spend a lot of time thinking about. For sure.
Oh, I love what you just said, and I love how you said it, and it just made me feel so at peace just hearing you speak like that. And I just decided, as you're talking, you need to create the art. You can take that statement and we'll have a joint little special thing that we'll post on Instagram or whatever and give to people. Yes. How about that?
Oh, yes, I could totally. Yes, I even have, and I can share it later with y'all. I have like a screenshot of what it looks like on my phone, because I think it's been so helpful, because it's so easy to just pick up the phone and just like go to social media or go to email, whatever. So I'm like, this is a way that I can just tune all that out and just remind myself of what I need to focus on right now.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And then you're going to have to do the beautiful art that you do with that statement about success and peace as well. You'll have to create something like that as well.
Yeah, I am all for that. Yeah, I need to do that.
It'll be amazing. Oh, I love this. It's wonderful. Well, I admire you and I celebrate you. And I know that when we celebrate each other, I know that scientifically that enhances our own brain function as well and everything about us. And we live in a world where not enough of that's done, but you exemplify that. So I just want to honor what you're doing. And it's just amazing. And I love your art and I love everything you do. It's just fantastic. Now, your Instagram is iconic. And, it's all the paintings and everything that just flows out of there is just flowing from the depths of who you are. What got you going with that? And I know we talked about this in our last interview, but, you've taken it to another level since then. And so just talk a little bit about that.
Yes, and I've even been reflecting more and more of because sometimes I'm like, how am I continuing to keep going right now? Because I'm just I am parent of a toddler, writing books. I'm like, what is the thread? How do I keep learning new art styles? I've been learning animation, all these things. And honestly, I think it's two things. One, and this is where my autism diagnosis has given me a lot of insight, is that, a lot of people on the spectrum have special interest. And that is something a little bit different than a hobby, where it's something that a lot of people on the spectrum will use to just cope. And for me, making art and exploring art styles is that for me. It brings me a lot of joy. So I think that's the first thing I always like to share with people. I'm like, I honestly feel like if social media went away tomorrow, I would still be doing this. I probably would be just printing out art in a little e-zine or something and mailing it out to people in the mail.
You would have some way of getting it out.
If it all went away tomorrow, I would still be making art. So that's the first thing. And I think the second thing is, I, like everyone else, I'm seeing what's going on in the world. And I know what it feels like so many other people, to feel helpless. Everything from a global level, all the way to community, to family, to the people who live in your house. It's so easy to feel like our hands are tied or we can't help in the way that we want to. So for me, making art in this season has just been a way of me being able to practice being present to the moment and letting other people know that, hey, I see you. I see what you're going through. I'm seeking joy in my life right now, and I want you to be able to seek that as well. So yeah, I think those two things keep me going. One, it's y'all, this just brings me a lot of peace and a lot of joy. And two, I'm just I know other people out there are seeking that as well. So I just want to really just help people see that, peace is still possible here, even if in the smallest ways. And I think that the arts is a powerful way to help remind us of that.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is so well said. And, it's all about not just us as us in the world. And you've taken your beautiful skill and you've taken the way it soothes you and you recognize how much it helps you and you shared that with the world. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's not just about us. It's about us in the world, which is a statement made by a quantum physicist. It's not about you. It's about you in the world. And that you just, you've just explained that, why. So that's, and it's touching, it's working because it is touching people's lives. It's helping so many people. So that's incredible. And, talking about that, all the things going on from, as you said, from a global level down to, community and down to the individual in the home, let's talk about Black History Month. I know that we're just out of that, but, and it shouldn't be Black History Month, as we know, it should be constantly, but at least there's something and it's a start. Yeah. So let's talk about, just in this Black History Month, the actual way of celebrating Black History in the South, how you make peace with the past and the present. I just love that. I'd love you to dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, for me, Black History Month it has an extra layer of being personal for me because my birthday is in Black History Month. So my birthday is February 4th. So right at the beginning. So for me, it's always been this is just a month of reflection. I always do that around my birthday of looking back. So it's like in my personal life, but then also just, as a Black person in America, it's like, okay, this is a time to reflect on how far we've come and how far we still have to go. So for me, I have found that in my life, like I have got to stay grounded in the present moment. And in order to do that, and I don't know like the technical way to explain this, but this is just how it looks for me. Looking at the past and the future helps me do that. So when I'm struggling to be present and I'm struggling to like be in the moment and be energized and not worried and not anxious, I'm like, how can I look to the past and the future for clues on how to do this and how to have hope and how to work through it? So what that looks like, as a Black person, is recognizing that I am a part of a lineage of people who have been seeking freedom for a long time. And while I may feel like I haven't done enough or whatever I'm telling myself in that moment, I have to look back and say, hey, look at how far we've come. Yes, we have a long way to go, but by me making art or by me talking about the injustices in the world, by me doing or donating, whatever it is I'm doing, by me doing that, I am a part of a lineage of people who've been doing this work for a long time. And I just think there's a lot of peace in that of like, okay, it's not all just on my shoulders to figure it all out. I'm standing on the shoulders of people who have already been paving the way to continue this work. And then when it comes to the future, I look at my child, my mixed race child, my child who is Pacific Islander Hawaiian. He is white, he is Black. And I look at him and I say, I have to remind myself that as worried as I can be about the future at times for him, I have to equip him with the tools to carry on this lineage of seeking freedom to breathe and peace and life. So that is something that I kind of feel like it really gets amplified this time of year for me, because it's my birthday. And then it's also like, okay, yeah, let's just take this concentrated moment to look at history and where we are and where we want to go. So, yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. I love that. As someone who loves science and art is science, and so you're talking about grounding yourself in the present by reflecting on the past and looking to the future in the way that you've described, specifically related to Black history and the lineage. That's just incredible, because quantum, according to our non-conscious mind, quantum physics, our non-conscious mind, which drives us, operates in the present, past, and future at the same time. So at any one moment, just for you to be present now, you are informed by your past and you are already, moving into the future. So you've just described something that's what I'm trying to say is that there's so much emphasis on grounding in the now and mindfulness of the now, but now is never actually alone. It's always got the past attached to it, because how you turn up now is based on the past and is judged by the future. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. I need to talk to you a whole lot more. I just need to be selfish a little bit and be like, how can I get more of this? Because that makes so much sense as to what I have been feeling. Wow. So you just gave so much language to what I've been experiencing.
We all need protein. It's important for so many biological functions, including bone health, satiety, our ability to think and build memory, and our mental well-being. And as we go through life, protein needs change. So it's important to choose a mix for different life stages and seasons. This is why I'm a big fan of Ritual's Essential Protein. It is delicious, plant-based protein offered in 3 premium formulations for distinct life stages and unique nutrient needs, and made with the same high standards and approach and commitment to traceability that Ritual is known for. I add their Essential Protein for 50 plus to water every day for a quick smoothie and post-workout recovery. I also love adding some cold brew to make it a morning pick-me-up. It's so delicious. With their flexible and easy-to-use subscription service, I never have to worry about not getting enough protein. I especially love that Ritual's Essential Protein adds the calcium I need to my diet, helping me to build and maintain muscle mass for healthy, active aging. With Ritual's one-of-a-kind visible supply chain, you also know what, how, and why of every labeled ingredient. They use delicious handcrafted vanilla flavor from sustainably harvested Madagascar vanilla bean extract, as well as other sustainably sourced ingredients like sustainably grown peas farmed right here in the USA. Made with the complete amino acid profile for daily support, Ritual is packed with 20 grams of protein per serving, with no added sugar or sugar alcohols. Indeed, all their protein powders are also soy-free, gluten-free, and non-GMO. Are you ready to shake up your protein ritual? My listeners get 10% off during their first 3 months at ritual.com/Dr. Leaf. Ritual even offers a money-back guarantee if you're not 100% in love. Just visit ritual.com/Dr. Leaf today for 10% off your first 3 months. The link and details will be in the show notes.
Well, you just gave so much language to a concept that's going to help so many people. So, yeah, we do have to talk more. I've decided right up front that this needs to be a regular chat, not just a now and then when a book comes out.
Yes,
we definitely need to, because these are very important concepts. And I would love to, just because I know I want to respect your time and I know that you don't have a huge amount of time left, but I wanted to can we maybe take this concept a little deeper? Because I think this is so significant in terms of what's happening now with COVID. And, you know, pre-pandemic, there was issues, and now year 3 of COVID and the pandemic and all that, and how we've kind of been shaken up. And, you know, people always go, it's terrible what's happened, and it is terrible what's happened, but it has forced us as humanity to look at the now in our language that we've both been saying, look at the now, and you have to look at the past and you have to look at the future. We can't just focus on the now and say this is the end of whatever. We have to use this moment that we're in now and understand how we got here and how far we've come and what we can learn, what not to do, and move forward into seeing how we want the future to play out.
Yes.
Talk a little bit around that in terms of your art and your work and just who you are as a person and what you believe.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I have been realizing lately, you know, again, kind of like, I've just been like, why do I keep painting? Like I'm like, okay, my son's taking a nap. Like I just go and I start making abstract paintings. And I'm so curious about that, you know, because it's not something that's always been in my life. Like I've been doing this for 5 years now, so a while, but it hasn't been my whole life. So it's like, why? And I've realized something recently, particularly about abstract painting. And this is why, like, with my very, very limited knowledge of quantum physics, I'm just so fascinated by this concept. I'm so interested in making abstract painting because what that does for my mind, it forces me out of this kind of like linear pattern of like, do this, do that, do this, do that, do that, do that. Now I can do that. I can paint very literal illustrations and there's steps that I have to follow. But for me, making abstract paintings, it kind of becomes like a spiritual experience because I enter into it not really knowing where it's going to go. I have a little bit of knowledge of like, okay, these blues, these yellows, this texture, but it's not in this sort of like linear mode that so many other things in my life are that way. So I've started to really, honestly, truly find peace in realizing, wait a second, maybe I don't have to think of life in this little linear way all the time. Like I notice that even when I tell stories about my life, a lot of times there's this tendency to go, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. And it's like, yeah, but there were all these other happenings that were connecting to one another that I don't even have the language to explain. So I've just been really, for myself, just really trying to one, I worry about the future all the time. You know, I find myself just worrying. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And a lot of times I start drawing conclusions based on what I know. But I have to remind myself, I don't know that. I don't know that much, even with my own story. Like I had an experience not too long ago, and I want to not share the names because it's not fully my story to tell. But I had someone in my life that I had some maybe resentment about how they treated me and how they didn't really, I felt like they didn't see me. I felt like they didn't really honor who I was as a person. And it's someone that I talk to. It's not like a hard, we stop speaking. I'm just like, oh, when I was a kid, I felt like you could have been there for me for. And it's not like it wasn't my parents. It was someone who I just saw that I was close to, but I was like, oh, I just felt like you weren't there. And I felt like you were always spending time with this person more. You always saw that person more. Well, that other person ended up passing away. And I thought about it. I'm like, wow, maybe it actually worked out that they got to spend more time with that person because that person had less time on this earth. And it was hard for me to see that as a kid, but I can see it now. They were spending more time with a person who ended up being here less. And that just brought me so much peace because I was like, how many? There are probably an infinite number of stories like that in my own life where I just was like, this happened, and I feel this way about that. And it's like, whoa, but wait a second. There's probably a lot of other possibilities and ways to look at this story. So yeah, I don't know what to make sense of that, but it's just something I've just been exploring. I'm like, okay, there's more to this than what I've been seeing.
Are you missing out on your favorite show because it's not available in your region? Trying to keep your private time private? Well, let me introduce you to NordVPN. If you're bored with Netflix, why not take it for a spin in the UK? Using NordVPN and a click of a button, you can do just that. No need to travel to Japan for your favorite anime when NordVPN brings it right to you. With 5,000 plus server options, no show is out of your reach. Using my link, http://nordvpn.com cleaning up your mental mess, you can receive a huge discount on a 2-year plan plus 1 free month. Of course, you all love to watch your favorite TV episodes at once, but privacy is a big deal too. NordVPN keeps your information encrypted so that you never have to worry about your IP or location getting out. They've also doubled down on keeping you safe with their new threat protection feature. Say goodbye to intrusive websites and malware, even if you download an infected file. Threat protection kicks in and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Don't forget, there's literally no risk to you with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Give it a try, and if you like it, great. If you don't, they'll issue a refund and you can pretend the entire situation never even happened. Check out my link at http://nordvpn.com/cleaning up to get your subscription started today. The link and details will be in the show notes.
First of all, that's a fantastic explanation. And my head's going click, click, click. There's all the science behind that. It's so accurate because life isn't linear. And 99% of who we are is basically our non-conscious mind. And that's our most intelligent part of us. And it drives our conscious mind. And the two work together. Our non-conscious mind's working 24/7. And our conscious mind is working when we are awake. And the subconscious is between the two. So this swirling blend of the present, past, and future, and this very non-linear, incredibly fast quantum world of our non-conscious mind, where all our thoughts and energy and experiences are being coded in, and then that shows up in the neural wiring in our brain and our body, but our mind, brain, body being separate. It's not a linear little thing like that. It's actually, we become consciously aware of it. So our conscious mind's limited in terms of how much it can handle. But when we do what we do now, which is have these deep discussions, when you have a story like that where someone, how you analyzed, well, they had less time, so it was right that person spent time with him. When this ability to get deep spiritual insight is the conscious mind working deeply with the non-conscious mind, and the non-conscious mind's already done the present, past, and future all in one. It's a swirling, huge, fast, non-linear, that our conscious mind receives little bursts of linear activity. It's about 400 in 40 bursts per second. So it's like 400 over a period of in 10 seconds and so on. So we have these things that come up linear consciously, but the source is a huge amount of multi-circle abstract reasoning. So that's kind of a little bit of the science. And then that's like a cloud. It's like a cloud of possibilities. You know how you have a lot of sweeping in your painting? There's a lot of, and I often look at your paintings and I think that's like a cloud of possibilities. And in quantum physics, you have, quantum means energy. So energy flows in these waves. And like a wave is a huge body of water and it can crash, and every wave is unique. Every particle is in a state of possibility. So there's no fixed thing until things actually happen. So we always have to stay in that state. Does that make sense? That abstract state of possibility. And then it happens, and then we can see, okay, so that's how the pathway went, which then helps us to reconceptualize and deal with the things of life. You know, so I don't know if this will make sense, but it's like you and I having totally some philosophical stuff.
Like, we've got to talk more, because I'm like, my goodness.
We have to talk more. And you know, that whole thing of abstract painting, I love abstract painting. My favorite paintings in my house are abstract and a lot of colors and it swooshes and things. And I look at that and I go, there's so much peace there. And I'm not an artist like you. There's something like, it's so deeply spiritual. Because there's just something that happens. So you're teaching us how to reconnect with that, which I think is just so beautiful in a world that's become, this is actually counter to who we are. That's only a part of what we are. The biggest part of who we are is this massive abstract teeming possibility, which leads to then bringing hope to the traumas of what has happened to in racism and what can happen in the future. The possibilities exist. And if we can draw down on that as humanity, we can make the right possibilities exist in the future. That is really philosophical. Does it make any sense what I just said?
It makes so much sense to me. Like, I know this is a podcast, but I'm just sitting here nodding. I'm like, because that is...
When you're talking, goodness. I'm also nodding. Everything you're saying is just...
Because it's like, in order to... as first to imagine a better future, it's almost like we have to get to a point where we're recognizing that we're only scratching the surface. And I feel like that's what you're saying. It's like we're only scratching the surface. It's like we really, in our human, I feel like we can get so like, okay, I guess there's no hope because we can't find the solution, whether it's global or personal. We're just like, well, I'm stuck forever. But it's like, no, we're not. Like there's so much more possibility, but we just have to...
we have to look. If you only look at that conscious level, which is only a part of how we function, you ignore the whole non-conscious, which is life's experience that each of us have. And when we dive deep into that, we can draw on the resilience, the human nature, the desire to love. What drives every human is that desire to protect your son, love your husband, help other people. That's what drives us. Every story that catches us, we look for the love story in it. Yes. We look for that human element. And that's what drives us. And that's where the teeming possibilities are. And that's what you try and draw out, that abstractness. I think you're trying to draw out with your art and to try and put that into some kind of conception. There's a depth here that we could tune into. Gosh, we have to continue this. We have to have a part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6.
Yes. I'm going to be looking at my calendar. I'm like, how can we go have like a in-person conversation?
Exactly. Let's do a combination of podcasts. Instagram lives are super easy. We can jump on. I know that everyone's going to want you after hearing this podcast. Where are you and I going to take this next? Yes. And I think it's just beautiful. So Morgan, this has been a delight as usual. I always feel so uplifted after speaking to you and looking at your art, and thank you for allowing me to go off on a tangent on as well.
It was perfect timing for me. I love it. Oh my goodness. Well, we will definitely be staying in touch, and I also, I get excited about dreaming of the possibility of what could be, and not just for myself, but for others as well. I think there's a lot of peace in that, because it can get so hopeless, and just reminding ourselves and each other of like, yes, but there's more to come. So
there's more to come. Look at that swoosh of abstract art. It's just, it shows the possibilities, and we've got to dig deeper to find the possibilities. Morgan, thank you so much. Where can people get hold of your book and find more about you?
Yes, so I am Morgan Harper Nichols pretty much everywhere, on Instagram, Pinterest, all the places. And morganharpernichols.com, you can find a link to my book there. I try to make it easy to find everything there, morganharpernichols.com.
Perfect. Yep. And highly recommend people get hold of your book. And thank you so much. And I shall see you soon.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
I hope you found today's podcast interesting and helpful. If you want more tips and help with managing anxiety, depression, and mental health, be sure to visit my website at drleaf.com and to sign up for my weekly newsletter, where I also include a schedule of my speaking events and so much more. And follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just look for Dr. Caroline Leaf. Also, I love seeing all your posts on social media about this podcast. I love seeing what resonates with you and what you've learned. So be sure to continue posting and tagging me and letting me know what you think and how these tips worked out for you. And don't forget, leave a review and keep spreading the word about this podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I really hope you learned something new and helpful. Till then, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf. This podcast represents the opinions of myself and my guests. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult your healthcare professional for any individual medical questions you may have. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we are sharing is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or corrections of errors.